as we get into it here pretty soon. I'm wondering how many maps, if any, are Big going to take off of Blind Trust?
Okay, then let's just go straight into this, Machiavelli. You're the analyst here. You're the expert. You played at a pro level, albeit when the pro level was a lot lower. What does Big need to do? I'm sorry. What does Big need to do to dismantle this team of Blind Trust? Like, what's like their plan, their ABC? What's the ABCs of this?
I would try to get Tox. I mean, excuse me, not Tox, because he's not going to tilt. I would try to get Claws to get overly aggressive. I would try to bait him into scenarios where he's going to be overly confident. Try to get him in those 2v1 scenarios because he really is confident in his ability. He's going to see a position. If he thinks he has an advantage, he's not going to hesitate. He's going to push. I think that's one of the things Tox has been trying to work on him with. That, you know, sometimes, especially in teams, you can get baited into scenarios. And I thought we saw it actually in the last map with Liquid and Maestro. There was a scenario where it was Garpy or Dewey had a power up, and they baited him right into that rail room with the small armor. And so they baited him with one guy, and another guy was waiting there with nails and just lit him up. So you got to be really careful about chasing.
All right, Machiavelli, but we're going to have to see how it pans out here as we're going live on Blood Covenant for the very first map between Blind Trust and Big right here in the semifinals. One of these teams will be going into the grand final versus Team Liquid. The other one will not. So we're going to be seeing Toxic here kick things off with a lot of rails coming across mid, but between the machine gun and the tribal, that rail will not be lasting long.
And one thing that Machiavelli did say that it really kind of hits close to home for me and what I've seen Claws is if you get him to tilt. One thing Wenger did really well against him in the Beat Invitational when we had the duel tournament was just counter his aggression with aggression, which threw Claws off. He wasn't used to people be able to match his kind of hyper-aggressive play style. And it threw him off quite a bit, and Wenger was actually able to take a map against him and actually almost able to beat him. So maybe that kind of aggression, if you can unleash Avik, have Kilson be that kind of support for your team with those rails if he's able to pick it up, which, as you saw right there, he clearly does have. Maybe that would also be a potential avenue, because they're already winning 4-1 off the bat.
Yeah, as you mentioned, this is a very early lead for Big to have, but it's not going to be a big one at this early stage. Kilson is going to be... I didn't even mean Dang it, it's such a common word. That's not even fair. But Avik doing some decent damage. And again, Avik's just raw aim today has been world-class. That's why he's here at QuakeCon. But he's going to be poking the bear that is Toxic, and Toxic is going to take him down just as Kilson trades that frag and collapses back in. So turning it just into a bit of a frag, especially if he dies here on the jump pad. But Avik turning things back around with that nail gun, keeping things in the lead for Big at the moment.
5-kill lead this early on. I never honestly expected that. Obviously, you see a lot of the early games happen where it's just like 4-4, 5-5, and then once that first power-up comes into play is when you see those strides stretched. But in the meantime, Quad 15 seconds away. Mega's going to be there, and it hasn't been secured just yet. Claws has a decent enough stack, and he has vision, most importantly, so you can come through at the perfect time. He's going to try to help with Tox at the same time to push in, and you can already see that dual wheel doing some work.
You say vision most importantly, but I think weapons are also a key component to be able to
I heard they are, yeah. I heard they're really important in the game.
And so Kilson's going to be able to get that pickup and take down Claws right off the spawn. Nice and clean. And he's going to be on the warpath looking for some more bodies. And just by showing up here, oh, I love that plasma coming out of Claws. And you remember what Machiavelli was saying about that aggression. It's a lot to do against a Kilson whose rails are on point with that quad. Well, of course, as I say that, he makes a big whiff.
I mean, he did hit like 2 rails before.
Yeah,
let's give him that.
Nice too.
But I'm just trying to think, like, if they keep this rate up, like, what kind of like version of reality are we living in where like Kilson and Avik come together because of Cypher unfortunately not be able to get his visa, and then coming into a grand final team at QuakeCon? Like, that's some like weird storyline, but to be fair, they're playing well.
Story of QuakeCon where anything can and certainly will happen. However, I'm still keeping a few cards by my sleeve for Kilson, but Kilson isn't. He is just rocking out with everything he has. It's going to be Claws coming back in with the LG. Toxic is looking at a decent starting stack at the very least. He's going to be able to take away a little bit more armor. There's no heavy or mega to pick up at the moment, so it's going to be all about weapons and positioning, something that Toxic has neither of. So with Kilson coming down this way, it's going to be quite a bit of trouble.
It's just a shooting range for them, a shooting gallery. Look at this. Rockets fitted gap will take heavy, but actually, wow, they're going to get heavy and 2 kills. Toxic has 1 HP. I don't think you're supposed to win that situation.
No, you're not. That was some insane machine gunning, so it's going to be 8-15 as Toxic is going to be seeing Mega taken away. And yeah, certainly he can't think that this is a good fight to take. He does have dualies available. He's going to be sticking to a single tribal for the moment, doing some decent damage, backing off here, and getting a little bit of extra health from that passive.
Kimbo tribals. It's going to run out of ammo though. But he does have the LG. You just see, what I love about him is you just see his aim. Like, I think like Claus and him are very similar style, where their aim just snaps to the target they're shooting at. Like, they're so used to how far they have to move the mouse to get directly on that target, which is so hard to do in many FPS games. I think even a lot of pros still struggle with it, but it's just, it's so much perfection. It's so rewarding to see. And another power-up, again, you use that term, going over to Big.
The standard stuff, yeah. But it's going to be Kilson with quite a bit of that protection left over. He's looking for some frags here. There's still 6 in the lead, and it's rails like that will certainly keep them there. And Claus comes back around for that fight. He didn't try to dive out of it. Toxic is going to be left by himself at the moment. Kilson hasn't found him, or indeed anything else. Mega's coming back up. Kilson's going to have that pickup for free, but really he wants some blood. You can tell that, hey, we're a few frags in the lead. We're making some good hits. If we can just keep the pressure on the spawns, then, you know, maybe Mega's a distraction, maybe Armor's a distraction. We need to stay, you know, keep the pressure up.
And one thing I've been like talking about a lot, because again, I wasn't really around during Quake Live. Everyone knows Kilson is Railson, right? And everyone knows how deadly he can be with this weapon. But I felt like in Quake Champions, he never hit that same stride. I'm not saying he was bad at rail, but he wasn't Railson. I feel like the last 2 events I've seen now, with the Beat Invitational and now here with this, his rails have been on point. He's really starting to rise up to the occasion, and these shots he's hitting, like, look at this. They have a 10 frag lead against Blind Trust of Claus and Tox.
They just need to be on point today. Maybe a little bit tomorrow, but today's the big one for sure. So Kilson going to be coming back up top bridge, and yeah, didn't see that visor coming, ironically enough. It's going to be Kilson taking down Toxic, though. It's going to be some traded frags. Claus.
Nice.
I think that's exactly what Machiavelli was talking about. That drop down from the bridge, like, if you're hitting all of your LG, cool, but anything less than 100%, it's not worth it.
24-14. This gap is not being closed at all here by Blind Trust. Quad coming back up. Claus doesn't have that patented rail just yet, but he's actually blocking up this teleporter. He's going to be rushed down, trying to come through, or he tries to actually come through to force the 2v1, and they are able to pull that off and able to get the kill on a Kilson. But still, they're both not that healthy. They're not healthy at all. They have about like 100 HP total if you combine them. They're very easily picked off here.
But there's the pickup for the quad. Claus is going to be, well, is he going by himself? Down here, he's going to be stopping for the Mega, or just calling out to Toxic to take it. If he has to come back in for this Mega, actually, it is actually a bit of a waste of time.
That was half the
quad. Doing it. Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be gone. He's there to mop up Kilson, though. Drops down, doesn't have any info on where Avak is. And Kilson nails him to a ceiling. Beautiful pair of rockets, taking away the last couple seconds of that quad, but really taking away just that moral victory.
And that's like the kind of mistiming that you wouldn't really expect to see out of Liquid when it coming in with Blind Trust. Like, he wasted hands down half of his quad waiting for Mega. Again, going back to the battle that happened before, because Big did so much damage, they weren't able to turn that quad into a couple of frags. And again, Kilson, I wish I could see his accuracy, because he's hitting everything on the rail, and that's where this man's deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to keep them in that 9 frag lead. So yeah, a bit of a whiffed quad there.
Okay. Special delivery
from Blind Trust, but Claus is still looking to lean in with his rails. Not quite making the hits he needs. A little bit of one more shot-itis. It's a nasty disease to have. Because he's railable himself, at least until that armor was picked up.
I heard it's not contagious, at least.
It is actually fairly contagious.
7 minutes and 20 seconds in. Mega will be available. And Claus, like, they should have known the timing for it. Yeah, Toxic going to go back and pick it up. It always kind of surprised me is, like, you see on a lot of teams where the player who's, like, really feeling the game that day, or you have that kind of star player who always gets the investment of items.
Sorry. That run was just ridiculous. Go on.
No, I don't want to anymore. Let's talk about those rails. That's Claus.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I mean, it kind of ties into what you were saying. If you're feeling it, you're feeling it. And Claus, well, he felt everybody.
And then the caster curse comes and he starts missing like everything. He doesn't miss that, though. And that wasn't even with piercing sight. Gonna see another one. That should be an easy shot. He wanted to let Tox have one. He's like, you know what, Tox? I've been taking them all too many. You can have one once or twice.
Tox cleaned it up. So it's going to be Claus throwing out some of these sonar
7
rockets.
7 HP, though.
Just wants to see the damage happen. But yeah, he's going to be able to take away 75 health here. That's going to be enough to kind of justify some of this aggression with the protection, especially over by the heavy armor. It's stolen away, so he's not going to be able to get control there, but he's got both players down below. But through this choke point, is it worth it? Well, Claus is going to be breaking off, but maybe not catching up with them. Oh, but that rocket jump is going to get cut right in front of their path, and Avak goes down.
To be fair, that protection, he spent half the time restacking. It's not like he was able to go on a run directly off that Kilson again. The second time he was able to take the power-up away from him, even though obviously it was running out there. But that isn't the first time they weren't able to accomplish anything off the back of a power-up. So in the end, Big's still maintaining a lead, but it is only a 3-kill lead where they previously had 10. So obviously we're seeing Blind Trust do something right.
Absolutely. So this is a mounting comeback. Claus is going to be popping the piercing sight here pretty soon. He's going to be looking for the play on the rocket launcher, but he doesn't really have the long-range weapons to punish this play. But through the teleporter, well, Kilson's going to go down incredibly fast. Aavik is going to take Claus down with the machine gun from across pillars.
Again, this is something I think we saw in the match prior with Big. When they're playing against Maestro CAS, it's just the amount of damage they're doing. Even if they do lose the fight, they're still putting out so much damage that it's almost impossible to re-heal back up again, even though this is a bigger map, before they're able to find you another time and then finish you off.
And at 31 frags, the gap has been closed. Kilson with some absolutely insane nail gun a little bit earlier there, and it's going to be a big skirmish over this Mega, over pillars, but of course we've got 20 seconds for the next quad. This is going to be a major one, 31-32. Big still maintaining a lead, but only just. Kilson going to be throwing down a lot of machine gun down at the heavy armor. It was still way too early yet. Toxic had no idea when that was coming back up.
He just saw it too, and he actually didn't commit for it.
And maybe leaving it up for Aavik because, yeah, this quad is going to be a little bit more important. But look at all this free rocket damage that Kilson's getting off. Claus goes down. He was there by himself, and Kilson's looking at this quad going, hey, I'm weak. Somebody else take it. It's going to be Aavik on the quad.
Yeah, how much stack does he have to work with here? An okay amount, I guess. But he hasn't really been able to get any kills off us. They weren't even able to get heavy either, so a little unfortunate for him. As Aavik is still just looking for the target, and here Claus with the vision, able to spot out where he's going to be so they can keep that distance from him.
Aavik taking a little bit of pressure across pillars, but Claus not quite willing to commit to it. Oh, what? That rocket from downtown all the way across Blood Covenant, leaving that quad there. It's a bit of a door prize. There's not much time left on it, but maybe Claus can get one more shot or get shot himself. Aavik with the LG getting some nice revenge.
Back up to 5 frag lead here for Big. It's just bouncing between, 10-2 at some points in this map.
Now there's some serious trades happening, but they're also happening on these items, which could turn into a bit of momentum here at any moment.
They're being denied rail. I mean, you can see that they're both on bridge. They're trying to jump across. Claus was there to actually receive them if they did go for it. Even Claus doesn't have a rail himself, realizing that he took way too much damage trying to defend. Toxic go down. Aavik gets himself a double, the unsung hero of the map so far. Kilson's been getting a lot of attention, to be fair.
Yeah, Aavik's damage output today has been absolutely incredible. Claus is doing all right as well. Not too shabby. They're still down 7 frags, but this is not only a lot closer than I thought it would be, but Big taking Blood Covenant of all maps could be, I will actually call this one an upset. Aavik with some great LG here. Toxic going to be top map, looking at these last 27 seconds, moving towards the protection. But he certainly doesn't want to drop down at this point. Well, he's going to get dropped down, like it or not, as Kilson takes away that armor and might be going, for the RJ over to the teleporter, getting ready for the power-up.
He's have the HP though, 48 health left. He's going to be spammed down by the machine gun, just trying to stay alive here. He's waiting for Aavik to come in and help him out. But I would imagine at this rate, it's not going to be coming quick enough. As you see them finally push across, Aavik 1v2 should not have a chance, but he's done a lot of work here. Claus is low on HP. Tox is low on HP. They are killable here. You can see Tox playing even slower, trying to prevent himself from being ambushed around a corner.
But Tox is making good use of that 50 health with the protection up, taking away that armor as well. And yeah, again, so they're still trying to close off these last few frags. Oh, and what a great place to find Aavik. Unfortunately, the rockets are going to be solid enough to get the frag. Going to be taking away this Mega as well. So now they've got not only the timing on the items, but also the fact that they're pretty well separated. This could turn into Toxic just skating around like he did in Quake 4.
And not to mention, like, these unreturned kills we talked about before with Team Liquid in the last match up against Maestro KSA. But Blind Trust have gotten quite a few on the board in these last few seconds. Quad, there's a good chance we're going to see it come up, especially if Big try to slow the pace down. And Blind Trust is going to have to respect it, realizing they only need 6 to finish off this map.
Yeah, they might well have to here. And this is my favorite part of 2v2 TDM, realizing how close imminent demise is on at least Blood Covenant. But Kilson playing a lot through the teleporter, throwing out the gauntlet in a desperate attempt, but it's going to be nothing but that. 41-45, Claus still on the power-up with the railgun, and he's leaving it out.
Oh, wow. So the Kilson distracted him from behind with the machine gun, and then Aavik just shut him down with the LG. And Aavik somehow is still actually not falling. Finally, he will go down, but Kilson's going to take away the heavy. And a good time to have that happen, too, because it's going to be up again before quad.
Yeah, Kilson should actually have timing on this Mega, but it's going to be left up for just a moment. It's a race over to the jump pad. Nobody's really committed to it just yet. Kilson takes the grab, and that was actually a bit of a freebie Mega for Blind Trust. But now Kilson can drop down using that piercing sight, using a piercing rail. Well, he's got the hits, just no frags just yet. Look how weak they both are.
Exactly, and without the Galena, it's not like you can get that instantaneous 50 HP for each teammate, so you have to kind of restack up a little bit slower. With Quad up in 5 seconds, Heavy will be there. Kilson's got to be careful, though. He can't afford to go for it right now. You cannot be caught off guard at this crucial point of the map. Quad has spawned in. Clawshot's coming from the back, Toxic from the front, and they get shut down here. Jahar, 2 frags for Big, and they're going to be coming home with the first map.
2 frags and a quad for Kilson, and he is looking for these bodies. You can kind of deny them on Blood Covenant for a little while, but maybe not forever. But there they are, nicely done, found in mid-map. And all right, lo and behold, we've got the first map going over to Big.
And I think everyone on the Dusk agreed we were looking at a 3-0-3-1 for Claws and Tox, and yet Big, well, they show up when it counts.
Yeah.
And we just the thing is, something that's kind of talked about in tournaments is like when you peak in the tournament. And I almost feel like they have yet to do it so far, and we're into the semifinals. Like their next match would be against Team Liquid, and that'd be like the most crucial time to ever peak, especially against a team like that.
I will say that it is valuable just having these guys just like get through these matches just one after another, no breaks, just like right in the deep end of how you play a LAN party. Sometimes those breaks can actually kill you because you leave kind of wired up and plugged in, and you come back and you're not quite in the same state you were before.
It's kind of like in American football, when you like ice out a kicker. You know, like taking those breaks, you can just kind of get in your own head, question things that you shouldn't be questioning. But when you're like pumped up and you're ready to go, you want to get in the next match as soon as possible.
Yeah, I understand that analogy.
Sports. Yeah. I have to say American football too, because when I say football,
right, yeah,
Europe,
you're in mixed company
you mean
here.
Soccer. And I'm like, yeah. That's how it sounds like.
Oh, okay, I was like, which one are you trying to do there? All right, but we're going to be going into map 2 of Team Big versus Team Blind Trust. One of the more clever one of the more clever team names I've seen in the tournament here. But one up for Big. They're not going to be going home anytime soon.
That's true. That is very true. And considering they won Blind Trust's map pick with Blood Covenant.
That's right. I can't count the number of times that's happened where they kind of trade map picks and trade wins respectively. It's just one of those Quake things.
So Ruins of Sarnath is like one of those maps where it's very likely you can get the triple stack totems down with Galena. It's a very big map. It's a lot of hiding places, but with Galena being banned, you have to wonder, are we going to continuously see this Visor and this BJ pick?
All I can see actually with Ruins of Sarnath is Avix, LG, and Rail. It's going to be devastating.
Do you think we're going to have a switch up in champions, or do you think it's going to be just the same two? Because obviously, like we said before, Clutch is available. He's technically there to be played.
From my limited opinion on Visor, I think, Visor's great at giving you rail opportunities in Ruins of Sarnath, but as far as like meta information, he's not quite as valuable as he is on a map like Blood Covenant, where you don't necessarily know where your opponents are hiding, or whether they're cycling to armor, or whether they're on top of bridge, or they're at railgun. There's a lot of misinformation on Blood Covenant. In Ruins of Sarnath, there's relatively few places to hide. Relatively.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously with the way and the speed these two teams do play, if you're hiding there, you're not going to be hiding there for long.
Right.
And I feel like, with the rails, what we've seen out of Kilson and Avix so far, with the weapon spawn, or not the weapon spawn, the power-up spawn with protection and quad, like right in that open eye room, it's like you have a rail and an easy angle within 2 seconds of each other if you pick it up and go for that position.
Absolutely, but as we go live here on map 2, Big has a map under the belt looking to get number 2, but they are sticking with Visor and BJ on both sides here, so we're going to be looking at Kilson, just get some good initial rails, but again, he's using the piercing sight largely for the rail opportunities instead of just any larger meta knowledge.
You can see here both trying to defend the LG again, very big pivot point for this map. Just that weapon alone, especially with the BJ and with how big of a model Visor is. There you can see Kilson just baiting in claws, using the aggression against him, trying to come up to save his teammate, and then just he trusts Avic to deal with Toxic himself, pops the dual wield now, trying to push in, and Claws is going to be there with the rail though, till they shut that down.
Absolutely, so Toxic looking fantastic here, halfway hidden behind his monitor, but he's got the LG out and Kilson's in a bad place. It's going to be Toxic moving back in towards Rocket Launcher. Mega's just been taken away, but look at all this LG coming out of Tox. He's looking for that last shot on the rail. He's not quite going to get the angle. We're currently tied here 2-2. Big is actually in a pretty nasty position.
I know it's kind of off topic, but it made me instantly think of this Home Improvement. You ever seen that show with the guy that sits over the fence? I can't remember his name.
You're right.
That's all I'm thinking of right now. It is off topic. Yeah. But yeah, either way, Blind Trust, though, having a better start than they did against Big in the last map, when they're able to take the lead 5-2. And you've seen that the health pools just really start to struggle, and how much slower it is without the Galena to restack back up for another fight.
Here's the thing I'm seeing, though. I mean, Toxic just got 2 great rails, and it didn't turn into a frag. Claus needed to be there to go, all right, cool, he's weak. I've got LG, I've got machine gun. This is going to turn into a real point. Instead, it just turned into 3 great rails and no points for Toxic.
Oh, Rocket coming through. A lot of BJ streams coming in as well. But quad's up in 10 seconds, and I believe we're going to take a little bit of a listen to Big and how they prepare for this quad, and ideally for them, take it and use it for their advantage.
Okay, coming. Nice. Okay. No, come on. Oh. Fuck. You're going too heavy. Okay.
You know, I honestly expected Big to have that, especially with the way they went into it.
Yeah, it's neat because now we get to listen to some comms when you don't get the quad.
Yeah, and it's very quiet.
I mean, Claus managed to take it away just at the very end there. And these frags coming in, Kilson just going, all right, cool, I can take you down, quad or no quad. I'm taking this frag back. But as it stands, Blind Trust just barely in the lead on Runes and Sarnath. Oh, this is bad news for Avic. He's going to get pulled down. Kilson trading the frag there as Toxic is looking with a great stack and a great amount of weapons, but not really the angle he needs.
If I'm not mistaken, Claus was actually playing the Visor on Blood Covenant, and Toxic was playing the BJ. They actually swapped things up between the two. I'm not sure if that's just like, you know, a map-by-map basis like we have with Dehang and Rafa, or if it's because maybe Tox isn't feeling as on point as he wants to be, so he gives the BJ, the big playmaker, over to Claus.
Well, if that is true, I mean, again, Visor kind of has a different utility here on Runes and Sarnath compared to Blood Covenant. Tox, though, getting some information from Claus, looking to push things forward, and he gets the big rail on the jump pad. Always feels good when he can pull that together. 14-10.
About to make our way into protection as well. Tox, nice. I mean, even with Pierce inside, there's no way he's going to miss those LG shots, and hits another rail. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people in the community of Quake have seen his 50-0 run in Deathmatch.
Yep. And
you know how on point he can be when he's on fire.
Absolutely, and he's one of those binary players where he's either like really on and playing better than just about anybody else on the planet, or he's not. And every tournament, every LAN, I wonder, even on a match-to-match basis, which one of those Toxics I'm going to get.
So far we're seeing right now, you're getting the new and improved Toxic.
Oh yeah, no question there.
He's just got to keep this pace up because protection has been stolen away. Kilson has a decent amount of health, but Toxic keeps landing these rails. He's down to 38 HP. He's got rails coming in from left and right. It's like a Star Wars movie here. All the lasers and all the pew-pews, and he's been forced back immediately.
All right, well, Kilson is going to be forced onto a heavy armor. Not the worst thing to get forced onto. He's still alive here at the very least, even if it doesn't turn into a huge amount of control and frags for that protection run. He's still looking for a frag down here at the LG, but he might just need to take it through the teleporter. A bit risky, and he's going to get taken down. Toxic actually getting 2 frags there for the price of 1.
I feel like they tried to force that way too hard when he had no health. I don't know if that was miscommunication or what, but having 13 HP coming through the teleporter, even with protection against this team, you're going to fall, and they got 0 kills off of that. They actually lost 2 at the end, which is allowing Blind Trust to keep this lead of 18-12 and actually looking to lengthen it even further.
Of course, with Avic being top T, he can check all of the atriums very effectively, get some comms knocked off there. But when it comes down to it, it's going to be the nail gun switching over to LG. Toxic goes down. Avic at 60 health, taking a bit of pressure here. And it's going to be the 2 LGs against the 2 other ones from Claus. Nasty shots as Claus just keeps him rolling.
I think you see even a little bit of frustration on Avic's side when we saw his camera there. Obviously, it could be very frustrating, especially with how the first quad went down, where they had it initially. Kilson lost it, then Avic picked it up, then he lost it to the rails that kept coming his way out of Toxic. And even the protection, you know, you got to be like, all right, finally, we got the power up, we can make something happen off it, but then Kilson gets railed, I think, 4 times in a row, and immediately just stops any sort of aggression he could potentially have pulled off. Position around Mega, Kilson was there, but Avic unfortunately wasn't. So they have to give this one up to the grouping of Blind Trust.
Yikes, and coming right back up this jump pad. You know that quad is coming back up, but Kilson is so very weak here. He's good with the shots. Can he get the last one in? Claus goes down. Quad's up in 6 seconds, and Kilson is going to have a lot of trouble getting through this choke point, but there's his teammate to open things up for him. But can he actually get on the quad itself? Claus takes down everybody with a starter shotgun. He was cheating a little bit, though. He's got quad and 2 of them.
Says 8 times the damage.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works, math.
Ish.
Stay in school, kids.
Hardish.
Hardish. But 24-16, I mean, this lead they've been getting has been growing steadily, and we're not seeing Big be able to respond to it. I feel like the Megas and the Heavies, which are always a big contention point, have been steadily going the way of Blind Trust, and any momentum that Big did have in terms of Avic hitting a lot of his shots, Kilson hitting his rails, has just been kind of stopped.
I like this a lot, though. I mean, compared to a map like Blood Run, where once the nice rail, once the quad is on the board, there's many ways you can kind of run away from it and set up traps against it. Here in Ruins of Sarnath, that tribal room is the spot. But at the same time, it's such a good spot that if you have the quad, you don't really want to go that way. So you run around with the quad and you take control of what you can, but otherwise, you don't really hunt for it.
Hitting that 7-minute mark, Avic and Kilson able to get there in time together. Please tell me someone's going to pick up that Mega.
I like that Avic was leaving it up, but yeah, you're right. It is important that Kilson actually gets the pickup, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of a stack here for Big, but not enough to justify a fight outside like this. Claws and Toxic getting both of them knocked out.
Yeah, Kilson didn't have the armor to actually like contest that fight. I mean, they had to invest the Mega into him just to give him back a normal stack of HP. Like that's kind of the sign of Kilson was in before they did take that item. Now having to come up, dual-wielded Claws. I mean, he's already scary enough, you know, back in the day with 1 LG, you know, the Parkinson LG from QuakeCon last year, but give him 2, it's just that much more deadly.
And being consistent with that is no joke either. So Claws could be looking for, a fight on Nailgun. It wasn't actually looking like he expected him to be coming from that way, but he wants these hourglasses. He wants to get his dual wield back up. He's leaving his teammate to the elements a little bit here, but here comes the pressure from Avic, but the nail gun isn't quite enough to shut him down. Now, if you can bait the dual wield and then get the frag, then it's great, but at that point, it's just a trade.
Avic has to come in with all the machine gun. He does have Mega, though. He does have his opponent extremely low. Tox trying to do something with this, though. 54 HP. Looks like he has escaped for now and has a heavy in his sight, so the stack's going to be back, and he's going to have some sort of opportunity to look for some frags. But this lead, it's still just continually growing here, Jahar. Big has been unable to stop this in the last 8 minutes. It's been the way of Blind Trust this entire time.
And on Ruins, I mean, you can just start grinding out these consistent plays all the time. Toxic's LG is just so fantastic here as he's going to be moving back in towards Rocket Launcher, but using that piercing sight to sniff out Kilson here. He's going to be popped back through the teleporter, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to last very long out there.
Yep, Claws is there waiting. Does Pounce, does get the 1-for-1 trade, so still working out for them quite easily, especially with the lead they do have and how close they're starting to get towards 50. Quad up in 70 seconds, but again, Mega control. You can see Talk's already there. Claw's is going to be making his way from Nail. And if you look for the red on the map, well, you're not really seeing it because unfortunately Big just aren't in the position to contest early enough. They're just trying to lock down heavy, trying to have something going their way in terms of these items. But Talk is already there to challenge out. Look at Claws coming from the side. They've left Mega up because they want these frags.
It's a good trade there from Kilson, but you can see that from the way they were positioned, they were both incredibly vulnerable to even getting, taken out by a single rocket. So 38-23, we could see the end of Ruins of Sarnath before too long. I do think this next squad will be coming back up, though, as Claus is going to start setting himself up for it.
Got the dual wield, got the LG. Got the ammo to work with as well.
Never mind. This is a rough position to get hit in. Like, once everybody knows you're down there, you only ever want to go down there if you're pretty sure that you can get away with it and nobody's going to realize. Like tax fraud.
Okay, you're not wrong.
But yeah, if you get caught, it's bad news for sure. But
I just don't think you go to prison in Quake. If
right,
you did that.
right. We don't have that in Quake yet.
And if you're rich enough, apparently you don't go to prison anyways. But Claws doesn't have dual wield up just yet, but Quad is about to come up. Mega's going to be there too, so Tox can transition from Mega into Quad. He's trying to take Quad right away, but
what is that rocket?
Stolen. Avic comes in.
I love seeing Avic on this quad. He's going to be doing some great damage with the machine gun. Doesn't turn into a frag just yet, but he's also keeping in mind his own stack. But look at this. He's routing in order to block off the tribal room completely. It takes him off of the main route just a little bit, but it means that everybody else is going to be really stuck up against it.
I like how him and actually Kilson are pushing together. Avic realizes I could die from this, but Kilson will pick up the quad and then get the kill in return anyways. So works out for them in the end, but again, every kill they give away is just getting Blind Trust so much closer to that 50 point.
And that quad was still down there, right?
Yeah, I think
it picked up.
Dissipated eventually. Yeah, Kilson just ignored it.
But Kilson, he's actually looking at a pretty good stack with this Mega, getting knocked off down to rail immediately. Yeah, this is not a great angle for him, but he's still trying to get some damage done. Here he comes to help out his teammate, just as a bit of an afterthought, it feels like. But Kilson still doing some great damage, 43-32.
Really need to start picking up these unanswered kills at this point in the map. Mega's about to spawn back in as Kilson's going to hit another rail. We're just not going to connect with that second one. And I think they just lost timing on Mega in general. They do have the heavy. But even then, it's like they have to continue or consecutively fight together, him and Avic, and hope that they don't lose one. Hope they get these 2 throw exchanges, which against world-class players like Claws and Tox is not something you can ever depend on.
And of course, everybody's running around with a very little stack except Kilson, but he's starting to take some pressure down here at the eyeball, diving right back down towards the heavy. 6 seconds to Mega. Claus is going to be on point for it. Doesn't really look like anybody's going to be able to put that much pressure on the Mega. Everybody else is getting battened off at Nailgun, and top T is completely clear, allowing Claus to collapse here, looking for a chase with the rocket, getting the rail, and looking for another one on Avic as well. And make that a double. Holy crap.
I like how he knocked Kilson away from the teleporter as well.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you're not getting through there, you're not getting to safety.
It's a magic word.
Exactly. With protection not coming up in 2 seconds, Claus has the duo just trying to keep them away. Kilson's going to fall. And if they get protection, you can pretty much just say that this is going to be over, and Blind Trust should be taking this map.
I mean, look at these rocket jumps coming out of Toxic, just barreling through that teleporter, finding the enemies down at LG. One is going to go down. Claus might get the other, but it could be one more rail from Toxic to cap off the map. Maybe an LG, maybe a rocket. Yep, there's the shaft, there's the map. And that is going to tie things back up 1-1. Blind Trust versus Big.
And that means we're going to be going over to Tempest Shrine next, and as our 4th map, Blood Run, so guaranteeing that map to be in the pool here, which is obviously going to be very well known by Claus, very CIS heavy map, also a very heavy European map in general. I wonder how Tempest Shrine's going to go between these 2 teams, because I feel like Claus and Tox, they want to play aggressive and fast, but Tempest Shrine isn't a map that's made to be played fast.
No, quite the opposite. And in fact, it's not really made to be, you know, a map where you're just kind of like lapping items. Even a map as big as Blood Covenant, you're still doing that to some extent. But on Tempest Shrine, there's so many periods where there's no place better to be than mid and just looking to set up those ankle plays.
And I feel like, you know, we're going to see a lot of position around heavy again, because you have the rail there, you have the rocket there. LG is kind of towards the Mega side, yes, but it's kind of almost at the midway point between the 2. And it just feels like Mega can be somewhat out of the way when you're trying to actually take some sort of position.
Right.
But the Glenagon as well, like Tempest Shrine is a big map. Like there's again the potential to get those 3 totems down. I would imagine we're going to see Visor here. I mean, you talk about Visor on Runes of Sarnath, you know, having the utility and the rail angles. It's pretty much just square on even with Tempest Shrine too.
It's an absolute must, and you do bring up a good point. In a lot of maps, the heavy items are positioned so that they're risky to take. In Tempest Shrine, they're positioned so that they're time-consuming to take.
Yeah, true.
If you want to go get that Mega, you're not going to be that useful to your teammate for a little while, and if you both go for it, well, you might catch some bad news on your way back out.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, then the power-up is, like, right next to heavy. Obviously, you can kind of get to it with the bounce pad up at Mega, but again, you put yourself in a doorway, a tight and closed area where a Nailgun could shred through you, where LG, Rockets, Rail, everything can just ruin your day completely. I'm glad, though, to be fair, that Tempest Shrine was added. Like, we talk about CTF and, like, having symmetrical and asymmetrical maps. We have 2v2 TDM where we have these fast-paced maps, and we have these slow-paced maps, and it kind of challenges you to change your style to the map you're on.
And usually you see this map a lot in 4v4, which turns that power-up room into just a mosh pit. You've got so many entrances into just the power platform itself. 2v2, it's a little bit calmer, but you still have teleporters, jump pads, you know, little hidden passages from the passage coming from heavy armor to go through. So there are so many angles to consider, and yeah, Visor is going to be a must to make sure that nobody really gets the drop on you.
I almost want to see, I know it's not going to happen, but I almost want to see Nyx on this map.
Yeah?
There's a lot of jumps that you can use, like her or Doom. There's a lot of jumps you can make with the double
European
jump.
players don't experiment as much.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's what we're here for. The trendsetters, people like Dewey to hang.
And then, of course, like, give me some Scale Bear action. I would love to see Scale Bear played, especially in 2v2, because there's nothing more daunting than hearing the thundering roar of his feet stepping against the ground.
Okay, I can tell where your interests lie now, but Toxic is going to be kicking us off here in Tempest Shrine. We are tied 1-1 in this best-of-5 semifinal between Blind Trust and Big. Toxic, though, again, has been just having fantastic shots all day. Of course, as I say that, he's going to be taking a lot of damage from everybody, but there's Claws to kind of save him. And honestly, that's exactly what I want to be seeing out of this partnership, is just coming back in, going for the blind LG angles, and saving your teammates' bacon.
What was like really disgusting about that push-in was Claus took 0 points of damage in that fight because they were all focused on top.
You knew he was there.
Yeah, and then Tox, I still had like 90 HP left after that too, so it's not like he took that much damage. Meantime, Heavy going to be secured. Again, this is the position we expect to see most teams set up with that and towards mid, as you mentioned, Jahar. And we've already seen those teleporters be so sneaky as Kilson's able to go with the chase to Claus.
And of course, the teleporter here is going to be no escape from Toxic's rail. They can try, and they can play the portal game all they want, but it's going to be, oh geez, a traded off frag there. Kilson going to be soaking his feet in those Gibbs, looking for just more frags here in the power-up room. Now, when the power-up isn't there, you have, you know, rail and an armor down below. You've got a few time shards up top, but other than maybe going for a few 25s, you really don't need to be there.
Yeah. And I actually wonder if we're going to see like the fighting break out anywhere else. Typically towards like the heavy machine gun, that's such like an awkward position that you have to go out of your way to pick up that weapon. And especially with like these long distances that you can fight in, that weapon would be key. But I would assuming a lot of players are going to be starting with the regular machine gun and then not worth spending time trying to go for the heavy.
Yeah, it depends on the spawn, depends on the situation, but you're constantly having to react to your teammates saying, hey, this is happening over here. Getting over here sooner rather than later would be fantastic. But 9-9, we're currently tied here in our tied map. Avik is going to be getting some great blindside nail gun. I don't think he even needed to pop his ult there. He was just fine with that single nail gun.
Claws coming into, and Kilson, well, he was there, but unfortunately he can't stop the dual shotguns out of Claws, who now has quad, and he's on the hunt. He's going to take Kilson down a second time. But again, we're not really expecting that many more kills off the back of the quad. It's such a big map. It's so hard to find them. He does have rail, and he is trying to get around quickly. But this also leads me to something that we kind of talk about, not enough, I guess, in Quake Champions, is movement and like your mastery of that. Getting around a map, especially one of this kind of size, can separate you from picking up an item versus missing out on it, picking up quad or missing out on it, or catching up to other players and getting frags.
Yeah, you can see how quickly Claus wanted to get back over towards heavy armor there, but finding another fight, it's going to be kind of putting the kibosh on that. But yeah, you can tell that his movement, especially when you have two visors in the map, he's going to be doing quite a bit of good work. Oh, geez, but these rails coming out of Claws, getting the knockdown, looking for that last bit for the frag, not quite getting it.
This is the easy ones, hits the hard ones.
Exactly. This is how it always feels. Avik goes down. We've got, oh, geez, just get him down. All right, Kilson finally takes that last bit of damage. Claws surviving that just barely. And then not at all.
Yeah. And then Kilson and Avik both do respond with kills themselves, though it's still an extremely close game, 17-15. It's not like either team's able to run away with this just yet. You see Kilson trying to hit some rails from above. His Claws will eventually go down. Tox, very risky jump across the doorway when you know Kilson's on the other end of it with the rail gun.
Yeah, I mean, Kilson switching targets there, he's just having to be very careful about how many fights he's getting personally invested in. He just wants to get the sniper going. There's the hop, there's the headshot. And there's Kilson looking for another shot on the LG jump pad.
Such a brave spot to be in for Claws here to push in like that when he knows he's against the rail, but he's closed the distance. Kilson's missed everything at Claws.
What?
Claws, you still have to win another match before you can pick up that trophy.
He just ran at him from all the way across the map. You could hear him screaming.
And then Kilson tried to do it to him right there.
Oh, jeez. All right, so 21-17, Blind Trust moving into the lead just barely as this protection comes up. Claws is going to have it fairly cleanly due to everybody else being, well, dead at the time.
Well, that was, I think, a good case of the one more shot itis out of Kilson.
Yeah, with the gauntlet. All right, but I like this out of Claws, just leveraging the protection and the LG just to get the work done and extend this lead quite a bit further. Now, Mega's going to be up, but you can see that right now Claws is not particularly interested in it. If he's not getting that information from Toxic, then it's not worth. Oof.
Oof, that was a good job by Avik, actually. Nail gun. I personally find one of like the most hard weapons to use, most difficult weapons to use, because it's a lot about predicting aim and also spamming your mouse left and right.
We're going to be taking a quick listen in here on some comms, as we don't have a power coming up just yet, but we get all those other juicy details.
They're coming to A-Bolt now. One nail gun. Banana. Heavy.
Wasn't with me on rail.
Yeah.
BJ was very low on exit.
At heavy. Heavy safe.
I'm fighting, boss.
Yeah.
Boss are dead.
They're spawning quad.
Coming, quad. Get
Wow.
down to rail.
Yep.
They weren't joking. Claws is incredibly quiet even here, and so
It's
you
like
can see
the hang of this combo.
Yeah, you see a team up like Toxic and Claws, and Toxic is the toxicative one. Yeah, the talkative one.
trying to make a punt
All right,
there
that
because
was
it
a
didn't work out
stretch.
that well.
I know. But I do wonder, you know, what was going on in comms when Claus just ran across the map with the gauntlet out.
I think I don't know what he was saying, but I know what he was thinking. I can tell you that, hands down.
Be chastised later.
Yeah. In the meantime, Avik and Kilson, like, that lead that we saw Blind Trust have, for the most part, it was about like 2 or 3, but they've been actually able to lengthen this gap off the back of that protection to up to 9. Avik's going to have the quad, but look how difficult it is when they're pushing through this door. He actually goes down to Toxic himself, and Claus gets the rail from behind.
That's why they call him choke points. Claus is going, you stay there, quad. I'm going to get it. But nope, from behind, it's going to be...
Toxic got it, yeah.
Toxic's going to be on it.
I thought Claus was going to pick it up because he was like right there, but instead he actually like holds himself back, lets Toxic come in, some communication of, hey, I'm stacked, I'm coming in right now, I'm there. Obviously not able to really make anything happen off of it, but he can keep everyone running away from him. Actually might be able to pull off the 1v2 here. Quad has faded, and so has his life.
I mean, quad or no quad, that LG trap was perfectly executed. It turned into, you know, a frag, but more importantly, they didn't really give up many frags getting set up for it. So 34-27, still doable either way. As Avik's going to be maybe looking for, oh geez, that last little bit of LG with the rail on the assist.
Well, for sure as hell ain't Texas.
There's that BJ. It just never stops.
We heard how much you love his screams, so we added a scream to his scream so you can scream while he screams.
He even does it when he rocket jumps and hurts himself. It's brilliant.
He does it when he walks downstairs and goes up jump pads. That would be like the ultimate April Fool's. Just everyone has the BJ scream for the day.
Oh no.
Game.
All right, well, I'm not sure a rail was the right choice here, or even a starter shotgun just hit the guy. All right, but that's going to be Heavy Armor going over to Avik. He's got a full plate of LG and rails. Going to be looking to leverage that in and tie up the score against Blind Trust.
We haven't even seen that many rockets, actually, now I'm thinking about it. It's obviously right next to Heavy, so it's not that difficult to get, but it's been mostly about LG, it's been mostly about rail, and obviously the starter shotgun when that's the only weapon you do have. Protection's up at about 15 seconds. Heavy up going to be before it, Mega as well, pretty much the same time. But it's such a trap, actually, because if you go for it, well, then you're leaving your teammate alone to try to contest his protection.
And with the double LG versus the double LG, it's just going to be a bloodbath in front of the power-up. We've got that quad, or I'm sorry, protection coming back up. Kilson's going to get the grab, but he's incredibly weak, 5 HP. He could have used that armor. He could have used any of this health. He's able to make it through the teleporter, however, and still dishing out some serious railgun damage at the same time. So they're going to be able to bring it within 2, now 1 frags. This protection is going to be huge for them.
Again, they were up, what, 7 frags, now only up by 1 for Blind Trust. Kind of a big snowball effect happening here, but again, you're not really going to see much more off the back of this protection. Kilson is railable now with protection gone. Claus,
at the end of that, it's still incredibly close. Claus, yeah, he's going to be able to spawn back up, take away a little bit more LG, and start looking for some targets, but he's not finding them at the railgun room just yet. He's catching the damage from the side. He didn't even look down that doorway before committing outside, and that honestly cost him.
Avik's not safe at all. The long-range shotgun and the screams from the crowd. Hilarious. I actually saw someone, I think it was on Reddit, who made like a sign specifically for this, and he needed more people because it was just, but it was like 20 H's. Good stuff.
I get it. All right, well, they're playing our song here as Kilson is looking to rock it out with his shotgun. And Claus take it down. Beautiful rails out of Kilson. Nobody even knew he was up there. So that's going to bring it down to the last 10 frags. We do have a quad coming up in 30 seconds, and that one is going to be nothing but... Oh! Toxic through the teleporter. Beautifully timed out of Kilson. Knew exactly what was up there. Great feedback from Avik, and man, Kilson is just on a roll. 2 HP means he's probably going to be cut out of this quad if he doesn't die or suicide soon. The 225s down below are not available. He's just hoping and praying that they're going to be there. There's the 1, there's the 2, and he's going to be looking for this quad. But has 50 health and 60 armor even enough? Who else is going to be here?
Oh my god, these rails. Kilson is really starting to hit a stride here in this one, and at the perfect time considering they were down by a couple of frags. Avik comes in, he gets a double, they get quad. Heavy is going to be taken earlier on, but Mega's going to be there, and Avik's heading straight for it. He's going to get another free kill. Claus goes down. Toxic going to be off to the side, but he's not going for the chase onto him, and now Big are 5 frags away from taking this map.
Tox and Claus went through the same teleporter just as the quad was coming up, and honestly, they were a little bit late. They weren't going to close that gap by the time quad spawned up, so Avik getting a great pair of frags off of this, but honestly, the frags right as the quad came up has tipped the balance, and they're now, like you said, 5 frags away. Here's the last second. Oh, this is the last place you want to get caught with the quad. Toxic goes down. Claus is going to be relatively weak. Avik waiting for this Mega, but Claus is going to need to do something by himself for a little bit.
Kilson is hitting everything right now, and he's dodging away from so many rails. Look at that, he has 50 HP left. Avik comes in yet again, 47 to 43, and this is the perfect time. This is the key time to pull off a big lead here. Blind Trust have been unable to get any kills in the last 30 seconds, it seems like, ever since the quad came up.
And it really doesn't look like Kilson's been moving. He's been using this health as kind of a buffet line, just keeps coming back to the same health and getting stacked back up and then laying in with the LG and the rail. But Claw's finally getting a nice double, bringing it back into a potential map victory for Blind Trust. But Avik turning things right back around. It's a lot of damage that he took. He's back up to 50, taking a little bit of damage from behind. But between their two stacks, I'm not sure it's quite worth it.
I think I'd be careful here. They're up by 3, yes, but they only need 2 eliminations to close this out. They need to restack, and they can afford to slow the pace down. I mean, there's tons of time on the board. It's not like you need to rush these last kills to close out this map. Pushing Avik has follow-up. Kilson gets 1. Kilson can get the second. He can close this out right now if he just hits this rail shot. Can he follow it up? And then there it is. Kilson hits the final shot, and Big are up 2-1 in the series.
That was not a good time to, not check your 6.
Yeah.
Look behind you, Claus. Wow. All right, so that is, of course, going to be one step closer towards something that I don't think any of us really expected. Big in the grand final, potentially. They've got to take one more map. And, of course, that's going to be Blood Run, which is Big's pick.
I swear I'm trying to read Avik's lips, and I just keep, keep in my head seeing him say, good job, good job, good job.
Well done.
I mean, they have to be feeling good now. I mean, especially Kilson, like, he had a lot of hot and cold periods in that map. I think he was cold for a majority of it, but towards the end, the rails he was hitting on 2 HP, I think he hit about 6 rails and got about 3 or 4 kills.
How was he able to stay there so long, throw out so many rails, and nobody really, focused him and said, hey, he's a problem, take him out?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just kind of like, you do it. No, you do it. He's on low HP. Just, throw something his way. But just that damage output, again, is so key, especially when it comes to 2v2, especially when there's no Galena playable. Right. The damage you do, it sticks for the most part. Yeah, there's going to be obviously some health bubbles you can get, but it sticks for a lot longer time, making it more easy or more susceptible to finish off those frags.
Well, good news for Claus. It's a little bit easier to get those gauntlet kills in a map like Blood Run.
I think he's got the most at the moment. He's got like 2 or 3.
I totally believe it, yeah. That makes total sense.
I mean, he's the real winner just for that then, even if they lose this match.
All right, you get to tell him that.
No.
But we are in the realm of possibility for Big going to the grand final. If, this being a best of 5, obviously, if Blind Trust manages to take this map, we will be going into number 5. But I think we all knew that this match was going to be, I think Machiavelli even said this was going to be one of the closest ones in the playoffs.
I almost want to theorize, like, I know it's a little too early, but I almost want to theorize, if we had Big versus Liquid, would there be a potential for a major upset here? I mean, to be fair, Big have already pulled off quite a few upsets over the course of this tournament in matches we thought they would never be able to pick up. But obviously, that's still to be seen because Big still have to win this map to go through. And Blind Trust are just trying to take this map to keep their hopes alive here at QuakeCon 2018.
All right, but here we go. I wanted to start on Claus, but Avik takes him down with dual machine guns right away. That Mega's going to be negated immediately. Avik down below with LG popping back through the teleporter. Wants to collapse on everybody on the tri-bolt, but everybody's already gone. He's whipping his own tri-bolt out here, but getting no information from it. There we go. I mean, also, Kilson was already up at the teleporter exit. He had to know, right? Had to know.
See, also, Avik able to get the flank on the Claws here. 2 to 0 as we finally see a frag come in for Blind Trust. Avik going to take away this heavy. Want to escape for now. I would imagine that we're going to see a decent desync. I would want to imagine a decent desync in items because it's so risky if they're both up right after the power-up that you can just take both of them and then transition to a big run. Because it is very easy, or it's easier on this map.
People just die on the heavy armor all the time. Yeah, you're going to see that happen, especially in 2v2, fairly quickly. But right now, I like this kind of this crossfire setup. And it looks like Claus was the first one to get caught in the crossfire. Kilson looking to wrap back around through the teleporter and capitalize on that exit. As the armor's taken away, Mega's going to be taken as well. And Kilson's backing off here with the railgun. Does he have nothing else to switch to? He's going to be taken on down.
I want to give a shout out to that one person out there who does the scream every time they're hearing it. You're the real MVP of this match so far. Claus.
I feel bad for you on Monday, that's all.
Yeah, as you're not able to speak anymore. But either way, 6 to 3. Again, we're sticking to the BJ visor. I would imagine we're going to stick to it the entire way through, even if we get to the 5th map on Molten Falls.
How many attempts was that? All right, so Toxic, I mean, you look at his face and he's like, all right, fine. Let's get over to quad. But 13 seconds to it. Tox is going to be giving out all the information to Claus, and hopefully something good comes of that. good nail gun damage so far, but he's dealing with these choke points as much as he can. It's going to be a nice dual frag. It looks like he should be handing that quad off to Claws. He's going to have 100 health here, not a ton of armor, but he's got 2 barrels of buckshot ready for everybody.
Ooh, 120 damage. It's really hard to compete with that, especially when you don't have rail. We're going to see the rail come in as Mega was taken and immediately dispersed of. But not that bad, not that bad. I mean, Claws got like 2 or 3, but Big did prevent the bleed from happening.
Oh no! Coming back into the power-up room is something to do when Quad's out, but it's risky, and it looked like they had either a Sixth Sense or just the piercing sight going, maybe don't go that way, but go that way or no, they're still in a lot of trouble, taking a lot of pressure. He's able to make it back up through top TP. No, he hasn't gone through yet. Claw's taking some damage, and Avic is able to finish with the nail gun.
And they take away Mega too, like really good timing. Claws was trying to sit for that item, but Toxic actually backed away towards Rockets. So again, maybe miscommunication, maybe it was the strategy they wanted to go for, but Claws kind of overextending his stay there, having to pay for another day and pay with another death.
As Heavy's going to be up and taken, and just like you said there, Jason, there's that desync coming up pretty quickly. We've got Toxic trying to throw some rockets around the corner. You can see how weak we've got some of these players, but they're in a good position to restack back up. Oh, but Toxic is looking to make something happen with rockets here. Great rails coming out of Kilson, though, as well as the Shoddy.
I really wonder, Jahar, like I don't know if you have any information on this, but how often, because obviously when the teams were preparing for this tournament, they did do bans in their scrims. How often do you think teams ban Galena?
That I don't know. I have no numbers on that.
I just wonder, like, was that kind of like a mind game come in? Because you're so used to playing with the crutch,
right,
with the handicap of having that totem to heal you up.
I'm sure
with.
if you're coming to QuakeCon, you have to expect, okay, somebody's going to be banning something that doesn't usually get banned because they've been practicing it by themselves, not telling the rest of us. So there aren't too many, possibilities of who that could be. Galena is obviously a good candidate, but whether or not you actually take the time to practice that setup yourself,
yeah,
well, that's the question mark. But no question over this protection, as it's going to be spawning back up, and we've got the pickup from Blind Trust.
You're going to imagine Big's going to sit here and wait. They go through the teleporter escape once they see the protection coming in. Actually, almost
Great
got a
LG.
decent juggle.
Got a lot of damage off on somebody even for having protection. So yeah, you can see how defensive they're being right now. Claws wants to rush in. That protection certainly gives him a lot of impetus to do so, but he's having a lot of trouble even getting through the door. There's that nail gun with Toxic to finish off.
I feel like teams, like ever since Taurus, have gotten so good at just preventing protection and quad to walk all over them. They've done such a good job of minimizing the damage it really does do to you. Downside is you eventually most likely are going to lose those 2 lives, which means you lose your weapons, you lose your stack, and hopefully in your sake you don't lose the timing of these items.
Yep, and the only solution to that is to not die.
Easier said than done.
Just don't do it. All right, so
You'd be a great coach. Just stop dying, guys.
Yeah. All right, so 70-17 as Big has tied this back up again. If they take this map, they will be moving into the grand final. Kilson moving back into the power-up room, just checking to see if it's clear and safe, just so he can take some ammo, health, and a little bit of armor. And moving back to the teleporter exit, he's got to watch his back here. He's got to know that there's somebody lurking, or at least moving back up through rocket launcher.
Good rockets actually forced to disengage, and Avic by himself now. Claus is still going to be up here, but he gets the double bubbles. Pick up the HP, and then Claus is still there, so that's
I like that collapse, yeah. That's a really clean frag out of Claus, and Toxic is doing exactly what he did. Just staying in one spot and nailing in as many rails as he can. Oh, I like this play on the Mega. It's going to be taken, but Avic's rockets are going to be on point. I haven't been calling out Avic's accuracies over the last 2 maps just because they've been doing well, but also, I mean, he and Avic are just doing a much better job in this matchup of just coordinating.
Yeah, and that's not something you can really teach overnight, and yet when we saw them yesterday, and even maybe in their first match, they looked like a team who didn't really know how to collapse. But we see Claus take the boat down with LG. They're coming into the power-up really late. I know Tox has an opportunity to make some plays happen. They actually clear that teleporter right off the bat, which I kind of like, because that's where teams like to hold out until something happens.
Of course, Toxic gets 2 frags for the price of 1, just dropping right into his lap, looking for another one with a quad rail. Maybe a little bit too greedy, but that is going to allow them to move into a nice 5 frag lead. And in the last second of this quad, oh, there's the great LG. Avic's down. Kilson is going to be going back through the TP and escaping for the time being.
25-19, 6 minutes and 40 seconds in. Again, we're easily going to hit the kill cap here on every map between the 2 teams.
No problem there.
Now it's a good balance, but Avic comes in big with the LG, and Claus responds with the dual-wield LG.
And not getting a whole lot out of it just yet. At the tail end of that, he's going to be eating a rail from Kilson himself. That's going to be a big turnaround on the Tribolt. This nailgun coming out of Toxic is going to be fantastic. He doesn't actually take too much damage in the meantime, so he can take away this armor and feel pretty good about his stack. But weapon-wise, he's got to start thinking about something else. Oh my god, this defensive nailgun, though.
And he's just not getting like one of the big 3 weapons with the rockets there. And again, that's Tox. Like he's a grinder. Like you'll see him playing nonstop every day just to kind of get better and get best. And the thing is, like, what's crazy about Tox is, at least in my head, it's not like he's like sitting there playing to practice. He's just playing because he enjoys the game. He just enjoys just, you know, almost going no-brain and just out-aiming people.
Guy. Just look at him. Just having a ton of fun. All right, but 31-23. Tox is going to be staying exactly where he is for the moment, hopefully getting some reads from Claus. But Claus actually goes down. That gives Aavik the ability to disappear into the map just a little bit.
That respawn, too, for Claus right there. The thing is, we've seen Big be so late to the protection in the quad every single time so far on this map, and then to get the respawn like that.
I like that suicide from Claus. Maybe he'll get another spawn that's similar, but that frag against Aavik was worth it. But Toxic is actually getting bounced out of the power-up room here. It's going to be frags at both sides, but when the dust settles, it's going to be Blind Trust on the protection.
It's a good steal by Kilson. Needs to keep that away from them.
Oh, geez, these rockets. All right, so now 10 frags in the lead. I think we have a potential with the final 15 frags for Blind Trust that we're going to go into a 5th map.
Yeah, Molten Falls, that would be an exciting one to actually close this one out on, especially since Galena will not be playable in this. Claus comes in with the double nail guns and double plasma guns.
Just flooding that doorway with everything that he's got, and finally getting that frag off on Kilson. It's going to be a fresh spawn from Aavik. Claus is respecting it for once, and well, didn't respect it too much. Here comes the shotgun to take him down.
Yeah, he's low on HP. Should have backed away, but maybe he wanted to just reset anyways to get his stack back up. Even Aavik low on health here, and this is so hard to come back from though right now. I feel like if you're Big, because Blind Trust seem to just really be hitting that stride, seem to be really playing well together. They're sticking together, and when they do separate, they collapse at the right times. But even on that rate, to talk, you know, not about what they're doing well, it's what Big's doing badly is the power-ups. Every time they've been late, they've been there at the wrong time or separated at the wrong time. And it's really starting to pay the price.
And unfortunately, the most dangerous thing for them right now would be to actually show up to this next power-up, just because, yeah, even if you get the quad, you're going to be spending a few frags to get there, and those are 2 frags they just cannot afford right now. But it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if they don't get that quad, well, they don't have a quad. Gotta have the football. They have to play the football.
Sports.
Yeah.
8 frags left for Blind Trust, and it looks like we're going to have a 5th map here. I think the first time in this tournament we're going to have a 5th mapper, at least within the playoffs alone. And to be fair, I'm actually really happy to see Big get to this point, to be able to take it to that kind of level where I expected Blind Trust to win 3-0.
I'm wondering if Claus just forgot that Aavik was there. He thought, oh, well, he's hurting. He's going to go get those 225s, and then he's going to leave me alone. Not what happened. So with this quad coming up, it will indeed be Big getting the pickup.
Oh
no, Toxic from around the corner. He didn't see him. I thought, hey, certainly he saw his foot or something, but he had no idea. Around the corner with the starter shotgun. And that is going to be it for that quad and the hope for Big.
50 HP left, not reliable at the moment with the armor he does have. Like you're saying, I mean, 5th map, guaranteed to happen. Now Heavy's going to be there, but he doesn't even need it. He just needs to pummel through them a couple more times. 3 frags left to go.
And Toxic is looking to make it happen with the quad. Kilson laying a bit of a trap at the teleporter exit. The best one you can lay without a totem. But Toxic is going to be running out of that quad. Just nailing at these rails, though, so consistent. Back to the TP, looking for the last shot.
Duel comes in. Yeah, Aavik's able to get one on the board.
Last shot, yeah. But Tox is going to to be here with the LG. Oh, getting the wall with that rocket. And Claus is going to have to mop up the pieces here, getting mopped up himself, but the trades are just not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, considering the lead they have at 15, they can afford to play like this and not worry about losing a couple of lives here or there. As long as they just get one in the next few seconds, then it will be good. But same rate. What kind of comeback would this be if they do throw it in the end? I mean, obviously, it's a long shot.
You know, if you take a 5-map series and you still manage to take 2 maps off of your opponent, there's only so bad you can feel about that. I mean, no gauntlet, no money, with less money, but, you know, still good stuff. But we are indeed going to be going to a 5th map. Big and Blind Trust is not over by far. These guys are going head-to-head like nothing else.
And Molten Falls without Galena, honestly, I think this is the first time I'm going to see it. Because it's such a map that plays well to her strengths. We talked about this in the last series. Again, playing that heavy side, playing the rail, playing the LG, playing all the hourglasses you have available to you, the light armors, the health bubbles as well. it's just perfect for her. And unfortunately, you're going to be forced to play without it. I would imagine we're going to continue to see the Visor and the BJ, though, in this series. We have not seen a switch up at all. If you brought out Clutch, this would be the time to do it. If you were holding a secret weapon, you have to show your entire hand here, because if you lose this, you're out of the entire tournament.
Yeah, it's amazing that we're seeing no Clutch ban and no Clutch pick.
Yeah.
Clutch is just being left in the dust at the moment. But I don't know. You say BJ Visor, and that does make a lot of sense. Like, there's a lot to be said for a kill here. But you can see that all of these players have been so reliant just on their raw rail aim. It's been intense, and Molten Falls is going to be a lot like Tempest Shrine in that respect.
I actually like how you mentioned that. I mean, in a lot of matchups, you see Rocket as like a heavy emphasis when it comes to like the weaponry and what the armory is for the players and what they want to use. But it's been feeling like this entire matchup's just been the LG and the rail. And that's where they've been netting most of their frags. Obviously, I think even the starting shotgun has more kills than they've had with rockets.
Deservedly so. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely good.
Great. I judge all FPSs based on how good the shotgun is, and the starting shotgun in Quake Champs is A+.
It's top notch.
Yeah. All right, but you can see just how steely-eyed Claus is now. Does he really sit that close to his screen?
I think
That's
so.
not safe.
Claus is the type of guy to sit that close
Where
to
are
the
your
screen
parents?
and have a magnifying glass on it to see every little pixel he possibly could.
What is this FOV? All right, here we go. 5th map. Semifinal. One of these teams will be sitting out the rest of the tournament. They get to, watch and clap, but not play at the tail end of Molten Falls. But we're about to find out here. Blind Trust versus Big. Toxic, already a big mix-up in the railgun. But you're right there, Jason. This railgun room is going to be a little bit more dangerous now that you can't just, keep chugging those totems.
I mean, it's just the combination of health, combination of the bubbles and the totems that just make it so powerful, and obviously the million other things that make it so admirable to have as a position. But I think it's going to come down to this first quad and how things transition off it. This is honestly, I think, one of the hardest maps to cleanly get the item or the power up.
Yeah.
Because of dropping down 3 floors, how many angles you can be shot from. The rail can be stupidly powerful here, as well as the rocket launcher.
It's beautiful. If I could dig into history a little bit, I can compare it a little bit to TDM Aerowalk in Quake World, where the quad is going to die. Oh, geez. But a little bit of friendly fisticuffs coming back out. Nice little tit for tat. Some revenge from Tempest Shrine. I can appreciate it.
Ooh, comes in. Gets himself the kill. Decent investment. And considering quad's 46 seconds away, he's going to have it back up again and ready to go. I think that's also something that we've seen the quote-unquote meta adapt on, is being more aware of your abilities coming into these power-ups. I mean, back in the day when TDM first started with the 2v2, we'd see abilities pop right before it, like 10 seconds out, and then not have it available as like clutch shields and such.
You listen to any of the comms, it's a really big deal knowing when Blazkowicz has used his ability, when Piercing Sight's been popped, all of that.
Speaking of Piercing Sight, Kilson did have it up, but it didn't matter. He couldn't stop Toxic from walking into him with that starting shotgun.
So Toxic looking to maintain the
Doesn't
aggression.
need another weapon.
What a coordinated attack there. The armor's going to be stolen away. But the frags are still going to be going to Blind Trust for the moment. Aavik setting up here below Mega. He doesn't really have anything to work with other than machine gun, but when you got a quad and 2 of them, that certainly does help out. But the choke point is going to be called the choke point for a good reason. Toxic taking away the last tail end of that quad and looking for some frags up here by the heavy armor, and I think he might just get them. Kilson goes down. Aavik is going to be trying desperately to get away. Hopefully Toxic is pushing him right into Claus's hands, but Aavik is already so weak.
Again, we talk about the totems and the healing factor of them, but it also means all the teleporters are clear. You don't have to worry about walking through one and taking, the damage from a totem. So that's also something
What does that feel like?
I don't know. I never have that feeling of certainty to be able to walk through a teleporter and not worry about damage.
So Toxic, I mean, he didn't manage to get more than just the 2 frags off of that quad, but a quad for Blind Trust. It's not a quad for Big. So we've got LG v LG in this room, and when you're kind of stuck here, like, you got to know that your aim and your stack are a little bit better. There's not a lot of room to maneuver. It's a dangerous place. Nice LG coming out of Toxic. Traded off by the rail from Aavik, and yeah, having Aavik set up here to snipe is going to be incredibly dangerous. Claus trying to smoke him out. It's going to get it. 16-10, and just rolling it on forward.
He'll back up to 25 HP, now 50 with the bubbles. I swear, BJ's passive is actually insanely strong.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can never really underestimate it.
You get that Bruce Willis award, the Die Hard, and then you're back up to 25. It's great.
Now 17-11, starting to break away in terms of their lead here. We need to see Big do a better job at contesting the power up like on Blood Run. That's where they really started to fall short. They weren't really able to get anything going for them in like the 1 or 2 power ups they did get the entire match on that map.
This is so dangerous for Havoc, and he's got to know it, but he doesn't know the timing of the armor, so Claus gets 2 frags for the price of 1 with that Tribolt. That miscommunication probably won't last long as the next heavy armor comes up, but it certainly set a bad precedent for this power-up. It's going to be the protection coming up in just a few seconds. Tox is going to be up top looking for the last rail. Avic goes down. We've got Kilson down below, and he's down as well. It's going to be everybody on Blind Trust going for the power-up. It's going to be Toxic making a run, and just having it here is such a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to accomplish much off it because he was extremely low on health, but again, a protection for Blind Trust is a protection out of the hands of Big.
Exactly.
And just keeping that away from them is lengthening their lead even further up to 9, looking for that number 10, that sweet spot. Good rocket actually bounce him up and away, and actually they're able to stay alive for a decent amount of time here. Toxic is going to have to back away. Claus goes in by himself, and credit to Big, they do turn that into a frag for themselves.
Yeah, here the raw desire just to have a more comfortable lead, just to extend it as much as possible, had to be a little bit frustrating for Toxic. You can see how mad he is now compared to how chipper he was earlier. But Toxic still pulling a great rail out of nowhere and just flying down with the LG to the rail combo as Kilson goes down. It's going to be leaving Toxic with actually quite a bit of health left over. Claus, not so much, but he's taking care of himself so far. Kilson getting some nice revenge.
We're still maintaining a 9 difference. Again, a lot of these power-ups are going the way of Blind Trust. Big are starting to lose the control, and I mean, that's the question we asked about Liquid. Whenever they start to have this control against you, how do you break it? And it all comes down to contesting these items, but then also not dying before they come up, and having the weaponry to be able to contest it in the first place has been proving to be a little bit difficult for Big.
I like that Avic is kind of just playing the corners. There's not a lot of reason to move away from here. Even if the Mega's not coming up, this is a good place to catch people, especially if you can get the double LG out. But Claus's single shotgun is going to be more than enough to turn that back around. Kilson getting some great info with the visor. Oh, getting just these rails, just 3 in a row, just snap angles that you just wouldn't see from anyone else. Quad is coming back up, but I'm sure Kilson wants to secure this frag first. Coming back in towards mid, it's a little bit risky, it's a little bit ambiguous. He doesn't have enough health to survive a rail, not even with that 25 health pickup. And as the quad is about to come up, is Kilson gonna dive?
Oh no, Tox!
It's been picked up.
He just gets it for free.
And Kilson's going, maybe I don't drop.
With a German accent, obviously.
Claus. Yeah.
Oh man.
Problem.
Tox just comes through the teleporter with the shotgun in hand. Starting shotgun, he's just picking up these kills. 29-19, they've gotten that 10 frag lead, and it almost looks like if they can maintain this pace, we could be seeing a half rematch of DreamHack Tours. No, there was no scream there. He just died instantly.
Splat. It's the best scream effect. But Toxic could be running out of that quad, but finishing the run at rail, it's going to give him a great sight line over towards LG and the heavy. And he's just picking off these rails just like nothing else. He's starting to get shafts from all sides, though, as Avic is going to be coming up this jump pad, and it's so dangerous even against Claus, as he's got his gauntlets out, actually. But 32-20, and yeah, this is starting to look really dangerous for Big.
Let's see if they can turn things around, though. We got piercing sight just used out of Kilson. Now it will fade away. They know exactly where they're coming from, and when you know they're coming from, you should be able to pick up that elimination, at least get the exchange of a 2-for-1. Unless he just turns into 1 for themselves. 50 seconds to go on protection, and
stopped him with that rocket launcher dead in his tracks, and then he was dead on his tracks. But 33-23, yep, he got that nice 10 frag lead. Avic looking for the armor, but again, it's not going to be quite back up. Giving it up in favor of the top of the map. What? Who died there? Oh, Kilson killed him? What?
Yeah, and Avic's like trying to shoot him too, thinking it was a person to kill.
That was from way down there. But look how low everybody on Big is right now. The rails are not absolutely necessary, but Avic is still going to be relatively safe. Here comes the drop for the Mega, and amazingly enough, they've got the pickup, so Avic is right back in it here.
But Kilson's not stacked for this quad or for this protection that's coming up, and Avic, the Mega they did have, is now gone. And luckily for us, we're going to have a second to listen into Big here because they need this protection.
Big. Mega forced. Fight that third. Gonna take LG and push Mega. Wait. Fight on weak on Mega. Go heavy already. Fuck, I'm at 5 HP. 35 for me. Stay with me.
Man, I think Liquid really set a precedent with their comms. I mean, they're just so sure of themselves. They're just like locked in on these crazy rails and LG, not able to think about much else, and who could blame them? But that was a great protection run for them. They're able to get a lot of work done. Still a long way to go with 10 frags to pick up. Oh, but there's the knockout out. Kilson is going to be taken out of the map. Avic getting a great rail on Claws there.
Toxic steals away Mega too, so it's really good timing to get there. I mean, you saw Avic try to get there in time to pick it up, right? They knew the timing on it, they wanted to maintain the control, but as we talked about before, how do you stop an enemy team from having control? They're able to get there in time with the rail and the rockets just knock them completely away.
Speaking of control, we've got Toxic with such a great stack. A lot of it is going to get whittled away by the shotgun from somebody who's still alive. Kilson is able to get out of there with, yeah, finally getting able to pull him down, but all that stock from Toxic is going to be gone. All the overheal, all the armor. Oh, and Toxic, did he
out
actually,
of rails,
out of slugs? Oh no, that click of death. I hope that doesn't come back to bite him. But Kilson is going to be here, ready for the play on the armor. He's got the piercing sight popped, looking for some nails across the way. And he's going to get quite a bit of damage, but he's taking so much LG damage here as well.
Nice.
Claws tries to finish him off, but Kilson just gets another one for free.
And the thing is, now we're 9 frag difference. It's going to come down to the squad for me. They have to get this quad and get some sort of semblance of control. They're not going to be able to... Actually, no, they do get the Mega. Avic picks it up, killing Toxic in the nick of time, so that's a good setup for this. Heavy's up right after quad, though. And look at the weaponry they have. Kilson, if he can get on the high ground, go through that teleporter, try to provide some sort of comfort or some sort of help, and that's actually Avic going to be doing the job there. They're going to push in. They're both extremely low on health, though, but they do get the quad nonetheless.
6 HP, armor is forever away.
And they had it.
Toxic is able to take that quad back. He's got the piercing sight, and this is so dangerous. 9 frags. He's got a lot of good information, and of course his LG is just flawless.
I mean, that's just kind of like Liquid-esque, right? Like we saw them lose the fight, but they came back in and won the war. Ended up taking the item away from him, which is the shotgun alone. I think Toxic's done this 3 or 4 times over the course of the series as well. 7 frags separating them from getting through into the grand finals. And to have a rematch, at least for the sake of Claws here, up against Rafa and Dehang.
Yeah, I'm sure he's asking for some location info from Claws on these last 7 frags. He's certainly got the momentum for it, and his aim is just on point. This is the Toxic that I love to see duel, for sure. But Avic's going to go down. We've got these last 5 frags. And again, Big has maintained this 10 frag difference, and you know, no matter what else happens here, they've done a really, really great show up against Blind Trust.
Yeah, I think they can go home happy from this one. Obviously, they're not going to be doing it just yet with the dual tournament tomorrow, but they've gotten a lot further than I think a lot of people expected, and they've come together in such a short amount of time. I mean, Claws and Tox have been playing together for such a long time. I know Kilson tried out Vu as a partnership they wanted to go with, and then eventually it did part ways with that one. And with just like the few months that him and Avic have had, they've done a fantastic job.
Well, so far, things aren't looking like they're tipped over for Big just yet. I mean, they've got a long way to go, but they're not giving away these frags. That means that if they can start to get some relatively clean shots off, they could actually turn this into, well, I don't want to say comeback just yet, especially with the traded rails there. Not worth it, not for Big. Blind Trust is now 3 frags away from the limit, and I don't think we're going to be seeing this protection come up. And actually, showing up to this protection would be just as dangerous.
This is a map that you can potentially run away from this. 1-for-1 trade again, easily get a favor towards Blind Trust. 2 left to go, protection spawning in 3 seconds time, and they're trying to contest it, they're trying to challenge out. They could lose this one right here. Blind Trust could win this and get through to the grand finals. Look how low HP they are, Jahar.
That protection is going to be saving them from that last rail, but that still leaves them incredibly weak. They've got 8 frags to pick up in none time. In fact, the time might actually be a bit of an enemy. Another rail that nearly caps things off, but there it is, finally. That is going to be Blind Trust grinding it out, grinding them down, and moving to the grand final today at QuakeCon 2018.
And again, I mean, okay, so we can look at this from a couple point of views. Big played really well over the course of today, did a great job getting to this point. Blind Trust, they have not looked as dominating as I expected them to be coming into this tournament. I had them pitted as being like the #1 European team, which technically they now are, but they didn't win in the same kind of style that Team Liquid did over the course of today.
Oh no, not at all. There was a lot of just setting up the angles, getting the blind shots, you know, allowing Claws to come back
Trusting
in
each
for
other to
a little bit, yeah. Where you would see a Team Liquid come back in to directly engage with an enemy in order to kind of save the teammate. This was more about just like setting up the long shots. Like, I'm going to rail him from way back here. You can be up front with the shotgun. I'll be back here. Don't worry. I won't miss.
Yeah, and for me, I'm looking forward to the grand finals now because You would have to imagine, as Claus being the two-time champion at QuakeCon, winning the duel and the sacrifice tournament last year, then to go into tours and to lose against Rafa and DeHane in the grand finals, you know he wasn't happy with that. And now he has his chance for redemption. He has his chance to take them down in the grand finals of QuakeCon to defend his title here another time. It's going to be rough, but you know, if we look at how they both these two teams now going into this have played, Liquid have to be the favorites.
That is tough. Just because I don't want to ever just like simplify something down to aim, but you saw that.
Yeah.
They were just hitting ridiculous shots. Machiavelli, what did you think?
I want to echo what Kaplan. In fact, that's making me.
It's weird that we're agreeing today.
I'm actually agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Even though Blind Trust got the win, yeah, I thought they underperformed a little bit, especially going into where Liquid looked really dominant against Maestro. I think if I had to compare who has seemed to be playing better in their previous match, I'm leaning Liquid. They looked really good, really dominant. Comms were on, aim was on. There's some shaky moments there for Tox and Claus. I think they had the match in general was in the balance, even at the end there when they closed that out. Toxic did a great job stealing that quad at the end because I felt like Avik and Kilson, if they go on a nice little quad run there, get 4 or 5 frags.
It looked doable.
It looked doable. They were in striking distance. So I don't think Tox and Claus, you saw them huddled together after the match. I don't think they're resting on their laurels about that win. I think they know they have some things to work on, and they got a really tough opponent coming up.
Do you think one of those sentences was, don't run at him with a gauntlet?
It's
I mean,
tempting.
he got a lot of kills with it. Let's be fair.
Let's be fair, yeah.
But he called me names.
Yeah, it was a good one on Tempest. I can't remember if it was Kilson or Avik. Somebody was hatching the egg on heavy armor there, and Claus just took the opportunity to pummel him. It was really great, honestly.
I mean, I want to be fair in this situation, though. I mean, we're talking obviously about Blind Trust because they have gotten through the grand finals, but I feel like Big really deserve a lot of respect for that, especially Kilson, who was a player typically not known for doing team play.
Yeah, I think they might want to work on this team thing a little bit more. They might have a little...
They might have something there.
They might have something there. I know Avik and Cypher are really close, and, you know, Cypher's a hell of a player too, but, I mean, I really felt the Kilson-Avik combo. I thought they were meshing well, and if you think about it, if they had a little more time and prep, I think they round into form even more. But I honestly, yeah, hats off to those guys. They played really great. I thought Kilson in the first map really got off to a great start, especially on a Blood Covenant. I thought Kilson was looking fantastic as they went on a run. So there were some key moments, I think, throughout several matches, or excuse me, several maps. Early on, I felt this was a good opportunity for Kilson and Avik. I think they really took control of this first power-up. They were off to a decent start. It was like 6-4, 8-4. But then they secure the first power up, and I just think it got the momentum going for them. You know, a little confidence, like, oh yeah, we can, you know, we can compete with these guys. You know, yeah, maybe their aim's great, but you know what? Like Kilson said, I got pretty good aim too. Yeah. You know, and I think they proved that they can play with these guys. It really did come down to some basic decisions, and as always, who can secure the power ups, man. It makes a big deal, and you see these runs. It really is, and of course, I got some nice highlights of Claus doing his thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to see some crazy stuff here. Like, look at this stuff. This is just...
I mean, you want to chastise him, the things he does work.
It's like, look at that. Look at that last shot. It's just like, come on.
I think the most disgusting thing about it is it's not like he swipes his mouse there and stays there and gets a shot. He swipes there, shoots, and swipes him away immediately. Like, the confidence, right?
Yeah.
It's like the no-looker. It's like the no-looker after, like, the three-pointer.
It's exactly what it is. He's looking away. This was key at the end of the first map. That last quad really secured it for Big. And set the tone. They were up 1-0, and I think, you know, if you're Toxic Claus at that point, you're thinking, okay, what do we do here? Because now we don't want to go down 2-0, you know, and so they moved into the next map, and I think they started to fix some things, and they tied it back up 1-1. Claus again, Claus. What can you say? There's just more Claus, more rail. Again, he grabbed Mega, he comes down here. It just gets aggressive with this guy. Look at, come on, the rocket to rail combo. A little turnaround rail there. Another one, you know, just for good measure. Nothing like some 180 shots, you know, the whole look away thing that Kaplan was talking about. So, I hit you once, I'm going to look away, and I'm going to do it again because I can.
You know what's scary about him, too? He's 20 years old.
Right?
Like, he's got so many years ahead of him in Quake, and just think of how much better he's going to get over the years.
He can get a lot better. It's kind of terrifying, honestly. And then again, Big, though, had a nice quad run there at the end. Did they go up 2-0? Man, my memory's shot. No. I'm on the wrong.
Yeah,
I'm on my wrong notes. I got so many notes here from all the highlights. It's like It's pretty amazing. But yeah. And so we went into the third map, I think, and it was that's the one I was thinking about. Big had a nice quad run here to decide it. Again, it's just critical right here. When the game is in the balance, these are the ones you need to win. And you guys correctly pointed out that, you know what, Claus and Tox were a little late getting there, setting up, right? Avik and Kilson were there, they set up. And, you know, those few frags that they got, those 4 frags that they got right there in this run, that set the tone. It got them the win.
Do you think anybody decides to just push through the same teleporter at the same time?
No, I would think I don't think Liquid would do that. How about that? And I think that's some of the things that I'm spotting about when I think they need to step up their game a little bit. The problem I think they have is Tox isn't exactly a loud player, and neither is Claus. I mean, maybe larger than life personality in game, but when it comes to comms, I think they're both very quiet and reserved. And I'm wondering if that comes back to hurt them a little bit, because a lack of information will kill you in this game. It really will.
I'm curious, you know, what's your thoughts on the Galena? Because obviously we talked about it quite a bit before we hopped into the match, you know, thinking, is this a mind game pick? Is this something that was intentional? Is this something to make them uncomfortable? I think we pretty much got like kind of a yes to all 3 of those, where Blind Trust, like without the Galena to play with, without, you know, putting Tox on it, giving that safety net to Claus, they had to play a lot more reserved, which isn't their style.
I think you're right about that. I was talking in the crowd about how, man, Tox and Claus, they're very pedal to the metal. Just full speed ahead. And when things are going great for them, they got health, they got stack, man, they're just dominant. But I think you're right, they kind of threw them off. They couldn't recover as good, so that aggression was coming back to haunt them a little bit. They'd end up low or dead, and there was no Galena totem to back them up.
Well, you say that Tox is a pretty quiet player, but now he's got a bit of an opportunity to release a little bit, to unload, and tell us all what's on his mind. Ketchup, what's up?
Well, first of all, I want to kind of echo what this entire audience is thinking, which is, wow, that was definitely a crazy long series. Congratulations to you and Claus for moving on in the bracket, going into grand finals. Significantly different circumstances now from when I just had you on the stage. First of all, after a marathon like that, so many games back to back, how are you feeling right now?
It feels really good because now you really feel warmed up, and it was a really good opportunity to get some real tense game in before the final. So I think we are feeling great about what's coming ahead of us.
And obviously what's coming ahead of you being the grand finals with Team Liquid. We kind of know Claus has gone up against them before. Yeah, I heard that in the crowd. There's definitely some North American love. It's somewhat of a run back that's not a run back. You know, you guys weren't on the same team when they went head to head at DreamHack Tour, but obviously you've been playing wonderfully together throughout the course of post-tour to now. Now, with how you're playing today, exactly how confident are you that you can take out Team Liquid and be QuakeCon Champions of the Year?
I think what will be most difficult to say is since we don't have the experience playing against the North American teams, they are playing a bit different compared to in Europe. But definitely we respect their skill level, but it's not like we are, you know, feeling that we cannot beat them, but we respect them, and we are sure that there will be really tough opponents. But we still have confidence in our self-performance, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
I think from our perspective, those that obviously watch you guys play, there's a very distinct difference in the communication, obviously. I almost feel like the 2 teams of you guys are one end of the seesaw to the other. You know, you and Claus are very reserved. You make the calls when necessary, but you're so confident in each other because you mentioned earlier, you know, you have such similar play styles. Obviously, the name Blind Trust obviously having some kind of meaning there too. Is that something you're concerned about? Do you feel like the lack of communication will perhaps hinder you, or are you just really confident in the way you guys play together?
Well, obviously it's really difficult for us to communicate in English since you need to be thinking a bit of what you are going to say, so it's not your native language, so you cannot be as specific as you would like to be or as quick to give information to your teammate. So we're trying to keep the comms to, you know, only say what's important and trying not to bring up too much personal stuff that's happening to you in the game, like you maybe are getting annoyed by something that happened, and you try to keep comms clean and just trying to give as much good information as possible.
I think that's definitely a good approach, and you guys have executed it well so far. And that all said, congratulations again. We'll be seeing you in the grand finals. It's Blind Trust versus Team Liquid momentarily for the grand final to QuakeCon 2018. But before that takes place, over in the States, there is the CSL College League taking place, and we have the grand finals of that up next. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.